Very good morning to all. On behalf of Arulmigu Palani and our Arts College for Women Palani Internal Quality Assurance Cell, I welcome you all for the second day of Faculty Development Program on Cognizance and Formulation of Core Values in Higher Education. Today I am so excited to welcome our resource person, Dr. P. Satyabama, NAC Coordinator, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Zoology, M.B. Muthaiya Government College for Women, Dindigul. She is going to present Promotion of Quality in Teaching, Learning and Evaluation. Once again, I am welcome you, madam. Over to the session. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. P. Satyabama, Associate Professor and Head, PG Department of Zoology, MB Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, Tamil Nadu. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Bhuneshwari, Principal, APA College for Women, Palani, who has given me the opportunity to deliver the importance about promotion of quality in teaching, learning, and evaluation in this faculty development program. Moreover, my sincere thanks to Mrs. P. Selvi, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. R. Uma Mageshwari, IQAC member, who approached me and got the consent to be the invited speaker for today's FDP program. India is one of the largest country with diverse education system. With widespread expansion and introduction of new undergraduate, postgraduate, diploma, research programs, added on to that the autonomy status, privatization have improved their higher education sector in a very good way. So, to address these concerns, the National Policy on Education and the Program of Action, they advised for the establishment of the National Accreditation Agency. Therefore, the National Assessment and Accreditation Council started to conduct the assessment and accreditation process of higher education institution to assess their quality status. Whether it is a college or a university or a constituent college or an affiliated institution, the quality should be evaluated. Their curriculum coverage, their teaching learning process, their faculty, their research infrastructure, organization, learning resources, governance, financial well being were all taken for assessment process. What are the benefits of accreditation? To know their strength, their weakness, and their opportunities. To identify the planning areas, their resource allocation, and to know their infrastructure, strength, and their weakness. And to initiate, trigger the innovative and modern methods of pedagogy, and how to identify the new dimension and new directions in the outgrowth of the institution, Thereby, they can maintain a reliable information about their institution for their society and for the stakeholders. So there are 7 criterias under the assessment process: curricular aspects, teaching, learning, and evaluation, research, consultancy, and extension, infrastructure and learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership, and management, innovations, and best practices. Out of all, I'm going to concentrate about the teaching, learning, and evaluation, which has more weightage when you compare with the other criteria. Either it is an university or an autonomous institution or an affiliated institution, the weightage seems to be more compared with the other criterias. For the autonomous college, it is about 300, and for the affiliated constituent college, it is about 350. Now, when we talk about the teaching, learning, and evaluation, so it is the effort of an institution to serve the student community by their experience. It is probing their competency and the professional development who handle their different programs. The techniques, what are all being adapted, that will be evaluated by the performance of the teacher. It's a major concern. The role of teaching and learning is the one which is the better purpose for the society, for their upcoming generation. It represents the channel of communication through which the student they acquire their habits, skill, knowledge, attitude, values, appreciation, which are all vital for the information age. So, therefore, the teaching learning aims at the transmission of knowledge, imparting the skills, the formation of attitudes, and the behavior. And about the key indicators under the teaching, learning, and evaluation criterion 2, there are 6 key indicators are there. The very first and the foremost is about the students' enrollment, their admission, their strength. And after the admission, what are the catering we are doing for the needs, for the necessity of the students? And next one is the teaching learning process. And next one is the teacher quality. The fifth one is the evaluation process, their reforms. The sixth one is the student performance, learning outcomes. All together comes under the teaching, learning, and evaluation. So when we start entering the SSR work, self-study report, or the AQAR, basically we'll be entering the very fundamental information about our college, such as the profile, the website ID, autonomy status, and the 2F12B status, and the different program, the teaching faculties, complete profile, and the technical staff, and the qualification details, the experience, everything. And then we'll enter into the criterion 2. Here, we need the data about the admission. For the last 5-year data. We used to admit the students according to the reserve category, according to the category mentioned by the state government quota. Whether it is open quota or a backward or other reserve category quota, we'll be admitting these students. So that data is being taken for the past 5 years, and that is calculated in the form of percentage per year using the formula what is given here. And when we are entering or collecting the students' admission data particulars, from which area they are from, which state, or either from which country. So either it is a national or an international student, and either they are differently able. And what is the mode of admission they used to conduct every year? Transparency was maintained, everything was displayed, everything was transmitted to the stakeholders, to the students' community, to the parents, through their website, through their ICT, mode of communication. What is the governing agency? What is the committee? And how many members were there? Everything was filed. Everything was taken into account. So based on the admission and the admitter particulars and how much applications you received, the demand ratio was calculated. When the application number exceeds than the number of sanctioned strength, then your demand ratio is very high. That shows your department, your program is most in need of your region, of your city, of your town. So more number of population is waiting to get admission in your programs, in your institution. So that is a positive indicative factor. So demand ratio is very important. Next, we talk about the differently able students. So how much awareness you created regarding the Divyangchan, and how much guidance and counseling has been given for them? What are the facilities have been created in your institution? Either ramp is there, either wheelchair is there, or braille materials is there. And how many students have been admitted based on the quota? How much have been passed? How much have been completed? So those data are collected and a separate tabular column is given for the differently able students. What are the general issues? What are the shortcomings with regard to this special students? Next one is what are the needs and what are the necessity for the student community and whether it has been fulfilled. So they are from different backgrounds, from different locality, different family background, different region, different languages, different situation, different communities. So special effort should be motivated, should be put forth for these special categories to bring it into an equilibrium. To bring all the diversity of learners into a similar mode, you should cater their needs. And gender sensitization. Some institution will be having only girls, and some institution both will be there. So accordingly, the gender sensitization and gender importance, how much was followed, how much is being also followed, how much empowerment has been given for the woman gender, woman empowerment. In the admitted data. Compared to the male, what about the female? Compared to the female, what about the male? So those data too was given equal importance. And for the every fresh batch of the students at the commencement of the program every year, the college organizes orientation program, induction program. For that, bridge courses is offered. Streamlining the students in their Part 2 English can be done using the bridge course. Mechanisms are adopted to identify their learning levels. Different learning levels will be there. There will be slow learners, there will be advanced learners, they'll have different ability, different attention, grasping strength, interest, area of interest, talent, skills, everything differs for each every individual. So that can be identified, that can be triggered by conducting the bridge course. So this is a simple, a diagrammatic representation for the slow learners. You care them, you respect them, you make them learn by caring and giving them respect. Then it will bring an integrity. You lead the slow learners with courage and conviction. Be passionate about the teaching and learning towards them. There should be some relationship internally and externally with the slow learners. Be innovative, entrepreneurial, and accordingly you design and you execute the plan for the slow learners to come up, to achieve, to climb the ladders. That is in the hands of the teacher. That is in the hands of the teaching learning process. And some special programs are adapted or maintained for the advanced learners too. So advanced learners, they take up self-learning and online courses like MOOC, SWAYAM, NPTEL, etc. Likewise, opportunities are created in order to develop their creativity by organizing different programs like seminars, conference, workshop, association meetings, club activities, then intercollegiate competitions, and different platforms are being created for them to explore their talents. Career orientation program are also provided to make a meaningful career. So some special coaching is also given for the competitive examinations like NET, SET, RBI, SBI, Railway, Postal, TNPSC, UPSC, Staff Selection Commission, IAS, and so on, so on. You make them to participate in the debate, in the discussion. You give them a chance to solve any problem, to make a very concrete decision, to solve the quiz, to solve the puzzle. You make them to read in a vast, extensive way. Guidance is given to avail all the government funds, to apply for minor projects, for students' projects. And leadership training program is also initiated, adopted by student administration and anchoring cultural events. You make them to participate in that. So these are all about the student, their admission, their needs, that should be catered, that should be fulfilled, everything. And now next we talks about the teacher. It's a very broad term. Of course, you can't put the quality in a very nutshell. But of course, it's a very valuable word. Each teacher is a multifaceted one with a love, with a concern, with a knowledge, with a skill, with the communication, everything they have. So, with that, how do you assess the quality? Not only the education qualification, their professional development, their teaching ability, their clear communication, their adaptability, flexibility, their lesson preparation, their effective goal setting. So that make them abreast with the latest development for the innovative and continuously shows the improvement in the work and the strive for the individual and particularly for the institutional excellence. So the teacher quality stands as the backbone behind the institutional excellence. So here their curriculum knowledge, their enhancement, their qualification, recruitment mode, professional development, and what are all the teaching abilities that are taken into account. You just see, when you put a program, you make a strategy plan, you design it, you develop it, you execute it, you conduct it, and at last you evaluate what is the ultimate result of the program. And if you find there is a shortcoming or a negative, then you improve the planning. So that should be the project. And you talked about the student and you talked about the teacher. Now you combine these two. What is the total number of students in your institution? And what about the total number of staff members in your institution? You divide both these two. You will get the student full-time teacher ratio. Now there will be a question. What is the full-time teacher? Either it is a permanent teacher or a guest faculty who works continuously for an academic year is considered to be the full-time teacher. And when you talk about the student faculty success and their curriculum, then that can be represented in the form of their graduation, their tenure period, their advancement, their new emerging fields. Everything shows their equity, diversity, and their academic access. Now, when we talk about the course, the program, or BA or BSc or BCom or a master degree, either it is arts or science or commerce, physical science or social science, whatever it may be, they should have a very clear specifications of their PSO and CO. Their course outcome, program objective, program specific objective. Each program they should have. It should be mentioned in their website and their syllabus clearly. So the learning outcomes should also be very meaningful. The program outcome, specific outcome, course outcome are stated and displayed on the website and communicated to the all teachers and the students. So the program outcome, what is the aim behind it? It should mold the graduates with their academic excellence. It should acquire relevant knowledge in the core academic field. It should make them to be morally upright with the social responsibility, with the civil responsibility in the society. That is more than what is needed today. And next we talk about the academic calendar. You devised a number of plans. So when you're devising a plan, that should be put in the form of a calendar. The teaching plan should be incorporated in the academic calendar. Annually, A handbook cum academic calendar is published. It's planned, prepared, published well in advance. It contains all the information, date of the commencement of the year, end of the semester, beginning of the next semester, internal exams date, model exams date, co curricular activities, cultural events, and important dates where some important events will be followed. The same thing is uploaded in the college website for the benefit of the stakeholders. Coming to the teaching learning modalities. Here, learning management system. It is turning in the very first. The learning management system facilitates the management and the measurement of an institution by e-learning programs that helps you to deliver your training materials. Think it, online courses via the LMS. They're all used to deploy a variety of learning strategies. Either it may be a formal one, experiential, social learning, a training program, a certification program, whatever it may be. But LMS helps you. So, learner centered education should be there. Participative learning, experiential learning, collaborative learning, effective learning, individual and collaborative learning, interactive and participatory approach. And the last one is a digital resource for learning. These are all the modes by which teaching learning can be imparted. You just see LMS 1, very simplified learning, accessibility using the computer, laptops, mobiles, time saving process, integrated learning, cost effective. So, time is saved, cost is saved, easily available, integrated. So, that is using their computer, either it is a desktop or a laptop or the mobile. Next one is the participatory learning. Here, in the participatory learning, the learning ecosystem is adopting different courses, different ways and means so that they can be motivated, engaged by a lot of creativitiness. Example, games, discussion, brainstorming, and flipped classrooms, case studies, mind maps, charts, posters, journals, newspapers, discussions, street plays, role plays, debates, laboratory practicals, quizzes, video clippings, documentary films. So these are all some of the participatory learning approaches. So by which IT integration and CIA can be managed easily. Here this is the LMS 2. Here TPK, technological pedagogical knowledge. Technological pedagogical content knowledge. Technological content knowledge. Pedagogical content knowledge. It is moving around technology and pedagogy, LMS 2. Next moves on to the LMS 3. Here it is based on the survey. What survey method you are going to opt or follow? For example, how many different sports are there? What are they? Which is the most popular one? What kind it is? And how many students have been interested? Why? What is the reason? What is the outcome? What will be the benefit? What all will be the benefit? Who are all will be the beneficiary? Those things are taken in the survey. That is the third one. The fourth one is the experimental learning cycle. Active experimentation. Test your conclusions and your plan of action. Concrete experience. Act accordingly. Reflective observation. Look back, assess which should be, which should it not be. Abstract conceptualization. Make sense of your experience and draw the conclusion. Based upon your experience, judgment is arrived. So that is experimental learning. Your experiment stands as the base, as the bottom. So based on your experiments, based on your experience, based on your past, you arrive the decision. You arrive the conclusion. That is LMS 4. Next one is the academic peer mentor. This is you call as a mentor-mentee system which is followed in most of the institution. This mentor and mentee is a very good chain between a teacher and a student. A teacher may have a very small group of students as the mentee, and the mentor is the teacher. So this mentor take care of all. Either it is academic or it is a co-curriculum, and extracurriculum, or either emotional support or any other doubts, some messy things, whatever it is, the mentor is taking care, showing their attention, their concern towards the mentee. So for that, they give the guidance and the support. They help, they gain confidence by meeting regularly, by making a friendly approach, by handling the intimidating assignment, thereby giving them mental support. Confidence. You're providing to your mentees. You're the strong pillar behind them. Here, this is one of the representation for the mentor and the mentee. They seek the right person, acknowledge it, establish it. There should be periodical communication and dialogues, frequent dialogues. Thereby, they develop their self esteem, they gain their confidence, they develop smart goals, they move straight in their goal. They climb up their ladder, they just wash out all the pitfalls because of the mentor relation. Just I told you, the institutional success is based on the teachers, just like the students, their guidance, their mental support. It's a very strong basement for the mentees. Next comes the examination. According to the academic calendar, what has been planned, what has been printed and published, you follow it, you adhere it. Regular classes, the in between holidays, semester holidays, study holidays, practicals, internals, then results, everything are followed according to that. The answer sheets, any problems they face, any hindrance they have, and their final mark sheets, everything you strictly follow it. And according to the evaluative process, after the exam gets over, the efficiency and the effectiveness of the system. You measure the knowledge and the skills at the various level. You just see and correlate the PSO and the CO of the curriculum with the examination system. You just watch the conduct of the examination, the mode of conduct, and how the results are being declared. What is time span in between? Whether ICT has been integrated there, fully utilized, development of ICT has been joined with the examination process, you make it stronger. Here, ITG, IT integration and reforms, the procedures and the process, the SUIA, everything proves the examination management system is functioning in an effective way. The examination procedures are going in a very, very good and functional way. So those processes, their conducting mode, the evaluative, is being joined, integrated, intertwined with the information technology. Then come to the assessment process. The quality of the assessment process, it depends on the quality. What about the examination system? What about the questions? Whether it is a standard one, whether it was quality, what about the quality? When the questions are set in a very good quality, automatically the students will tend to study in that direction. They will have in their mind that questions will be like this. So accordingly, I'll be preparing, I'll be presenting. Our question always will be in a very good standard. So my position also will be enhanced. And mode of conduct. A very good transparency is being maintained. So there should not be disclosure of the examiner's list. There should not be any leakage of the question papers. And who is going to value? We set the question paper. That should not be revealed at any cost. But the date, the time, and when the papers are valued and the marks are entered, that should be transparent. And we need a feedback system regarding the examination evaluation, how it is being conducted, how it was assessed, and what about the results declared. Here, usually for every semester, how many students appeared for the examinations and how many students got through, how many students were passed. So that gives the ultimate result. What about the area? Is there any result pending? Where the of the result? Or any result was not printed in the mark statement? Those things, everything was taken into account. So what was the regulatory mechanism? Prompt action. Possible errors were ruled out or not. Small petty things were given more importance to nullify the errors. Here, just now I told you about the pass percentage of the students. So total number, who passed through and then who appeared for the past 5 years according to the semester pattern. Now you will be getting the pass percentage. And even how many students have applied for the revaluation due to their marks would have gone down, but in their point, I have written the examination in a very good way, but my marks have gone down. So I want to apply for one more time to value my paper, to revalue my paper. Or till now I haven't even a while arrear. But all of a sudden, an arrear has come to me. No chance for me. So I'm going to apply for revaluation. So how many have applied for revaluation for each semester? What are all the difficulties they faced in the examination? That was consolidated. That was presented. That was tabulated. That was assessed. Here, total number of final year students who passed in the examination divided by the total number of final year students who appeared for the examination. That was multiplied by 100. And what are all the grievances of exam? What are all the difficulties? What are all the problems? You just see, a student is lodging a complaint. On behalf of student, the parent is lodging. A student is approaching the staff and she or he is representing her or his problem to the staff. So on behalf of student, staff, the parent is lodging a complaint. Then the grievance cell is recording all the problems. So that is being taken for the complaints to be dispatched, to be redressed. And at last, there should be some result for the complaints what has been lodged by the students, by the staff member. Ultimately, we need the solution. So because of the solution arrived, or if there is any hurdle, or if there is any staggering in solving the problems lodged by the students or the staff, then that is also taken into the account for the feedback. So either you may get a positive feedback or a negative feedback depending upon the outcomes of the compliance. Outcomes of the compliance. So when you have a little problems, when you have less number of grievance, then it shows a positive indication. And the last one is the student satisfaction survey. It is popularly called as triple S. Yes. Triple S. It is an online student satisfaction survey pertaining to the teaching learning process. So you need some data for that. What about their name, their class, the gender? What is their number, register number that is given in the ID card? What about the Aadhaar, mobile number, mail ID? And that should be a functional mail ID, the degree program, everything, all data should be collected and prepared in the form of a databases. And that should be shared with the NAC along with the submission of SSR. Okay? Here, what is the purpose of Triple S? Student Satisfactory Survey. When they have the satisfactory feeling, that is the achievement of an institution. Because they are satisfied, they are fully satisfied. They will tend to spread their satisfactory feeling to all their fellow beings. So, how to identify this survey or how to identify the satisfactory feeling? For that, the Triple S is conducted. It measures the students' perception, their campus, their experience, their learning, their examination pattern, their results, their teacher, their mentor, everything. So, those things are taken in the form of different questions. Thereby, their learning outcomes are measured. How much comfort feeling they had. The intellectual achievements. How much they have attained. What about the results of teaching? And what about their judgment? The student judgment is the ultimate result of our institution's work. What and all you took as an effort? What and all the plans you designed and implemented, when it founds a satisfactory feeling in the student, your plans are successful. Your institution is progressing. When Triple S gains more points, then your institution has been graded higher. It is implying the student satisfaction survey. It's a very important key indicator in teaching learning process. Here, when you talk about the teaching learning process, here already I told you that the function of the teaching is to make learning effective and meaningful. The learning process will get completed when the teaching is effective. So, teaching and learning, they are closely related to each other. The teaching is considered as the act of imparting instructions to the learners inside and outside the classroom situation. It is a part and parcel of the education system. The whole education system, please make a note that the whole education system, it depends on the aims and objectives of the teaching learning process. The teacher, the learner, the curriculum, the syllabus, the course, the program are all organized in a very systematic way to achieve the educational goals and objectives. So, here, learning is an inferred process which differs from the performance, which is the observed behavior or action. So, it's at most a necessity to arrange the periodic assessment and accreditation of institutions of all higher educations for their quality of teaching, learning, accountability, innovations, training programs for the stakeholders. Thereby, we can contribute goodness to the national development. We can develop a fostering tendency for the global competency among the student community. We can inculcate a value system among the students. We can adopt, promote, integrate the use of day to day scientific technology, and always we teacher, the student, everyone should have the quest for the excellence. Thereby, we grow the future citizens. They show a very positive growth, a dynamic growth. Our institution too shows a positive growth. So, at this juncture, it is time for me also to convey my thanks to all the staff members who participated in this faculty development program and who actively involved in this teaching learning process, because without teachers this is not possible, and without teachers a student cannot be molded, and without teachers a country or a nation cannot show a progressive growth. So, my sincere thanks to the organizers, to the principal, and to all the respected teachers who are all here for your patience listening and your sharing of knowledge for the student community. Thank you, one and all.